Welcome to the Exceptional Sales Leader Podcast with Darren Mitchell. If you're a sales leader looking to take your leadership to a whole new level, then this is the podcast for you. We'll be exploring tips, techniques, and strategies to help you take your leadership to the exceptional level and allow you to enjoy more money, more meaning, and better sales results. Welcome back to the Exceptional Sales Leader Podcast, and welcome to a man coming all the way in from Vienna in Austria, and a man that I thought I had a pretty good record being involved in over 780 podcasts, but this particular person leaves me in his wake. Mr. Simon Severino, all the way from Austria. How are you, my friend?
Hello, Darren. Thanks for having me. Hello, everyone.
Welcome to this. You're a sales coach. You run strategy sprints, and you were just sharing with me before, Simon, that you've been a guest on over 2,000 podcasts, and you're also the host of multiple podcasts, and you're in the 900s in terms of podcast episodes you've created. Mate, you're a weapon. You're a machine. How have you found time to do that, and how long have you been doing it for?
And you know what's funny? I'm actually a lazy Italian person. So I prefer working out in nature, being with my 3 kids, mountain biking, playing soccer than doing anything else. But I would say I have built systems that make it easy for me to stay consistent with important tasks. And one of them is getting my message out and helping people. And so if it's important, I will find a way to create a system that makes it a daily habit, that makes it small enough and fun enough that I will keep it up over decades.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the core also of the strategy sprints method that we will discuss, is how can you make it so small and so fun for yourself that you get energy back while doing it. Because if you create that system, it's highly likely that you will do it the next day and the next day and the next day. Why should you stop? If it's small enough and if it's fun enough, why would you stop it? It's easier for a stone that's rolling to stay rolling than to stop.
Absolutely. And if it's a habit or it's a system that is relatively easy to do and you're starting to make some progress and start to get some results, even though it may not be excellent results to begin with, but over time it starts to get better and better and better, you'd be mad to stop.
And that's exactly what we do in sales coaching, in marketing coaching. First of all, defining what matters. What are the few activities that really move the needle forward for you? And when they have defined it, we help them create the environment that makes it easier to win consistently during the week.
Yeah.
Then to have, larger chunks that may go wrong. And that's usually when people get inconsistent, because nobody wants the risk to be wrong or the risk of losing. But if you create the environment where 80%, 85% of the time you are winning and you are immediately feeling it that you're winning, it's much easier. For example, one of the typical tasks that we're discussing in the Sprint Club, 226 of us are in the Sprint Club, which is our app, 24/7. We're discussing sales obstacles, what's working, what's not working in sales. One of the typical things that came up like 12 times this week is, Simon, I know I should reach out to strangers, but I don't do it. So these are small business owners. They don't identify as a salesperson. They identify as, I'm great with IT. That's why I run an IT agency. That's why people ask me IT stuff. And that's why I solve IT problems. But now Simon says I should talk to 15 strangers every day and telling them that I have IT solutions.
Yep.
So Simon, I hate it. I don't want to do it. And we find a way. That's a typical sales coaching situation.
Absolutely.
And some listeners might even feel it. Oh yeah, that's me. So if that's you, first of all, is it really important or not to
Mm.
talk to 10 strangers, 15 strangers every day? That's the most important question. And if you come up with, well, actually, it is important because I am the person here, I'm the CEO, I'm the owner. So I
Yeah.
am responsible for the economic progress of this thing. And
Yes.
the pipeline is the lifeblood of my company. So I want a full pipeline. I don't want an empty pipeline. This matters. Now, if it matters, how can we make it small and fun? Small and
Mm.
fun.
Mm.
The small part is, first of all, reframing that you don't have to win it. So let's look at what does feel negative about it.
Mm.
Oh, if
Mm.
I call somebody and then I interrupt them during something, I feel like an idiot. Well, I feel desperate that I'm calling somebody who's doing something and I'm
Yeah.
interrupting them because
Yeah.
I need business. I feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
And I might come across as desperate, which damages my brand.
Mm.
And then we look at if factual, anything of idiot and desperate, all these attributions is actually in there. And
Mm.
it's not. It's just there are IT people, there are IT problems, and there are IT solutions. You have some IT solutions. If they don't know it, they can't use it.
That's it.
Simple as that. It's all neutral. You
Yeah.
either get yourself neutral and tell them, or you don't tell them. If you don't tell them, your pipeline will stay weak forever.
That's it.
So simple. It's mathematical. And
And,
so we go there, we take out these attributions and then say, okay, what's the daily
yeah.
habit? And
Yeah.
then that daily habit, we have a calendar literally in front of us with this
Hmm.
mandala. And if I did my daily habit, I check it off.
Yeah.
So now you have a visual feedback loop.
Mm.
Every day you get back energy. Oh my God, I'm proud. I did it. I did it. And so the next day, it's easier to do it again.
And if you keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it, it not only becomes more familiar, it should become easier. Now, question, because I want to delve into this, and I also want to ask you about your past a little bit as well in terms of your background and what led you to do this. How much of the work that you do around this is focusing on the habits and building a habit, building momentum around that, but also having the ability to disassociate from the pressure of having to get the perfect outcome? So you mentioned before, if I've got to reach out to 10 or 15 strangers, now whatever method that I use, whether it's phone, email, text, LinkedIn, whatever, how much of it is detaching from the outcome of having to get a connection with 15 or with 70% or getting a meeting, and more focused on, hey, did I do the activity? What's your...
Great point. And this is why you are a pro. I can see that you're a pro because this is exactly what happens when you coach somebody over weeks. This is exactly what happens. They stop at some point calling the strangers, and then you have
Mm.
to get deeper. Why are you stopping? I don't know. It doesn't feel right. I was so busy. and and when you dig deeper, you find, oh my God, I feel like a loser because I call them, but they don't pick up. I
Yeah.
call them, but they don't take the offer. I send the offer, but I'm not closing the deal.
Yeah.
So if your reach out to 10 people is tied to their outcome, you will not get into a daily habit over decades.
Mm.
We reframe it. We say the win is not after you close the deal. The win is already reaching out.
Mm.
You reached out, victory.
Yeah.
Congrats. And we have victory sounds, a lot of victory sounds, different kind of victory sounds that we do all the time. Now you can have victory or double victory. So if you reach out, it's victory. If you reach out and they become your client, it's double victory. So you can't lose. In this game, you're creating the conditions. It's your
Yeah.
game. So make it fun, right? It's your
Mm.
life and make it fun.
Mm.
So in this game, we create the conditions for you to just win or double win. It's
Yeah.
nothing else. The only thing that can happen is that you stop doing it. That's why we have coaches, the
Mhm.
strategy sprints coaches. I am one of them. But we also have this app 24/7. We are discussing, pushing each other, reminding, gently nudging. Guys, did you do it? Did you follow up on that deal that you discussed last week? And so we are 24/7. I learned this from my yoga teacher. My yoga teacher, after a 1 year program, he gave us exercises to do. Right? Do this every day, guys.
Yeah.
And then he knew exactly that we would forget, we wouldn't do it. And so he created an app. He called it the Mandala, which has 2 rows, 20 and 20. He wanted us to do it 40 days in a row. And so
Okay.
you would see visually 20 and 20. That's what inspired me to create our habit calendar for our coaches. And it really helps. I have
Mm.
it in front of me, and you check it off, you see your visual streak,
Yeah.
and then you say, oh, I can do it 5 times in a row. I can do the sixth one too.
Mm. And the more you do that, how much of the coaching then is just on that point around detaching from the outcome, but more focused on the process. And when you focus on the process and I get the hit of dopamine because you've actually ticked it off, you're more likely to do it the next time. Do you find that over time, the more we do it, the more we develop that habit, the more the results start to flow in? There'll be one that says, "Hey, yes, I'd like to have a conversation," and then, "Oh, okay," and it's not something we're aiming for. It's almost like a surprise.
Yeah, process is king, and there is nothing else in your control because the
Mm,
outcomes are not in your control.
mm,
The only thing in your control is the input. That's the
yeah,
process, right? How you design your environment and your daily actions.
yeah,
Those are inputs. If the client buys or not, that's an output and it's not in your control.
yeah.
So forget about it. Okay. Relax. It's not in your control. Anyways, forget your sales goals, forget your conversion rates. It's all not in your control. Let's look at the few things that are actually in your control.
Hmm.
That is, how do you use the 8 hours that you have today?
Yep.
Those 8 hours, and this is the strategy sprints method. It's the core process of how you spend your time on the highest leverage activities.
Yep.
Very simple. We invented nothing new. I guess if Socrates would run a company, he would run it this way. Uh, I guess because it's very
Is
simple.
your
On
nickname
Monday,
Socrates?
I wish. Yes, great guy. You know, he was the guy with the great questions. And the better your questions, the better you are as a salesperson, the better you are as a leader.
Yeah.
The strategy sprints method is so simple. On Monday, you define the priorities. What's the most important few activities for our clients and for our growth? Then you run this. You define 1 or 2 experiments to solve the one main bottleneck that you found.
Yep.
Now, you and your team, you run with those 2 experiments. On Friday, we measure the A/B tests,
Hmm.
and we know which assumptions were true, which weren't, what worked, what didn't. What works, we double down on in the next week. What didn't, we stop doing. That's Friday. And on Friday, we also reflect the process.
Hmm.
That's why the Friday session is so important. It's a learning session. Yes, there is a dashboard with the results. So we
Yeah.
go over 5, 6 numbers, but it's very simple. Like the main marketing number, main sales number, main ops number, main sprint number. That's it. So for example, number of new subscribers this week, 21. Okay. Numbers of closed deals, 78,000. Okay. Number of refunds that we had to do. So pissed off clients. Um, um,
Hopefully less than 78,000.
yeah, hopefully, right? Let's say it's $2,000. Okay, $2,000 refunded. Now, sprint numbers, depending on what the current experiments are, we will hear those experiment numbers. And now the number part is over of the Friday session. Now let's learn about it. What did
Mm.
work? What surprised us on the downside, on the upside? Oh, on the downside, Simon said he will ask 6 people for an introductions. He only asked 3.
Hmm.
So Simon surprised us on the downside. Let's
Yeah.
look at that. There is no finger pointing. It's just, okay, Simon, let's learn from it. What's going on?
Yeah. Yeah.
And now Simon could say, guys, I'm going through a divorce. Okay, well, just we'll have a better week next week.
Yeah.
Let's chill. Or he might say, I don't know, the message that I'm sending doesn't land. So
Mm.
okay, then we have to do an A/B test. Do you need help? Do running the A/B test, or can you do it alone?
Hmm.
So we'll look at that Friday at how we feel doing the thing. Are we doing the right things in the right way? What are the next A/B tests? Because you can always refine each conversion stage:
Yeah.
attention, interest, engagement, actually buying for the first time, buying for the second time, and referring other people. Each one of those you can continually tweak and optimize. This is why we have 274 tools ready to do that. But you need the moment when the person is ready to do that. And that's in the Friday meeting when we reflect on,
Yeah.
okay, how did my week go?
Yeah. And in the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, is that just rubber to the road, getting stuff done, or is there also some mini reflection pieces just to check in to say, hey, is this message resonating? Am I on target? Do I need to adjust some things? Are there some stuff that happened that's come in that needs to take my attention that I need to maybe put some spot fires out? Or is it pretty much no, we just got to focus and we only do the reflection on a Friday?
Actually, you don't need any meetings in between.
Mm,
Some of our clients do it because their culture is having meetings. Okay, if you like that, do that.
yeah.
But you don't really need them in this method because on Monday, everybody told their priorities and everybody else had the chance to say, no, that's not a priority. The client needs this.
Yeah.
So on Monday, everybody knows and told the others what their priorities are.
Hmm.
Now they run with it and run experiments. Actually, you don't need anything until Friday. So that's why we call it a swim lane. One person owns one swim lane end to end.
Okay.
If you design the process end to end, and this is why the EOS people, the traction people love also the strategy sprints method, because it's a one full responsibility end to end. You don't need any other meeting in between. You don't need to discuss stuff because now it's really build, deliver, and measure from the market.
Hmm.
And you don't need other people to do that. Run with it.
Yeah.
Um, in this way, you are very respectful about everybody's time. And now from Monday to Friday, everybody has a lot of time to work at their pace, just work with the market,
Yeah.
make clients happy, bring more clients in. And on Friday, we need one meeting again. This is a small organization. Of course, big organizations, they need meetings to coordinate things like specific product versus a specific region.
Hmm.
Okay, this product is landing in France, but it's not landing in Singapore. Okay, now it's more complex. You need geography and product syncing. You will need something in between.
Mm.
But most people listening actually just need a Monday meeting for priorities and a Friday for learning.
So Simon, what about organizations that, and these could be organizations that are almost like still mid-tier organizations where they have a bit of, I guess, bureaucracy, for want of a better term. They've got different key stakeholders across an environment. There might be a single owner of an account or a strategy, but you've got to get buy-in from marketing, buy-in from delivery, buy-in from finance. How does this work in relation to working in a highly matrix, some would say complex environment? Because I understand the concept of, hey, swim lanes, one owner from end to end, focus on a Monday, go nuts, do your sprint, and review on a Friday. Things happen, and people say, well, hang on, that's great in theory, but in reality, this is I'm always getting phone calls that I don't expect, or I'm always getting my manager to come in and say, hey, you need to change your priority. How do we work in that sort of environment with this sort of concept?
Great points. Two different points. One is real time communication, and the other one is what if somebody else interferes in your swim lane? Because now the
Mhm.
manager comes into my swim lane.
Yeah.
So, first one, real time communication. Most of our clients have a Slack group and they immediately, and that runs hot all day.
Yeah.
Specifically because most of them are spread across multiple geographies and
Hmm.
time zones. And so everybody at their time puts in their stuff in Slack, and it's usually linked to a Google Doc or a spreadsheet. And so whenever the next one wakes up, they continue on that information. So yes, real-time communication because stuff will happen and should
Yeah.
happen. And that's exactly why you have only one meeting and one meeting, because in between you are catching all the stuff that happens. Instead of sitting in meetings, you
Yeah.
catch it. You get it thrown in your face. You get punched in your face by the famously, right, by the clients, and you roll with those punches.
Yeah.
And you have the flexibility to move around in your swim lane. Now, your second question was, what if my manager comes in and says change of direction?
Yes.
Now, well, who owns the swim lane? If he owns the swim lane, he can change it. He doesn't need me.
Yeah.
If I own the swim lane, I change it.
Yeah.
I take inputs on Friday because I'm shipping.
Yeah.
I'm shipping. And so what in mid-tier companies, we work with very large companies and mid-tier companies too. And you said bureaucratic because sometimes they organize in a way that's too bloated
Yes.
for the actual need.
Yeah.
If you're looking right now, Amazon, Meta, Google, they are all reducing the amount of managers
Hmm.
for very good reasons.
Yeah.
It's better to have swim lanes than to have layers of management in between.
Yeah.
Let the music happen where the music is, which
Yeah.
is with the client.
Yeah.
And then you need a level of strategy. And that's why we have those strategy meetings and
Mm.
and strategy processes. But do you really need many layers of people watching people work?
Which is very much a traditional approach to corporate that, as a salesperson, I'll report to a sales manager. The sales manager might report to a general manager or a regional manager who reports to a sales director who reports to, and it goes up the line. And most of the time, I'm just reflecting on my own experience being in corporate for 20 plus years. A lot of the time, it was managing upwards in terms of providing forecasts, providing justification for why a forecast is changing, providing inputs in terms of executive briefings and so forth. It was very much an administrative heavy role.
Yes,
What I think I'm
because
hearing, yeah,
we
go.
had to create those reports manually. Right now, ev- every one of our clients has a real-time dashboard.
Hmm.
Sales numbers, marketing numbers, ops numbers, number of refunds, etc. It's all on this dashboard. Everybody sees real-time what's going on.
Mm.
So there is 0 minutes needed to craft that report. The report
Hmm.
is live. It's in real time. It's
Yeah.
coming from Google Analytics. It's coming from the CRM. It's a live dashboard. It takes 10 minutes to build it.
Yeah. Okay.
If you're listening right now and you don't have it, I can build it for you in 10 minutes. Happy to do that. Literally. And so you have your dashboard that's in real time. Now we can use our time together better to challenge each other assumption. We thought that product is more profitable than product, but it's not the case. So
Mm.
let's discuss. We thought that this kind of guarantee is the safest option for the buyer. Now turns out it's not the safest. They need something else. We thought reducing our price would increase the deal conversions. It's not doing that. Maybe we have to increase the price. Can we discuss
Mm.
that? Now you are talking strategy. Now you're working on the business.
Yeah.
Let's challenge our positioning, messaging, pricing, delivery, the way we craft the statement of work, the way the payments happen. Let's improve those things because the reports, they come automatically.
Because you've got all that real-time data. So if everybody's working on that and feeding it into it, which presupposes you've got buy-in on the front end to input that information, because if it means that we're driving accountability down to, for example, an individual seller or salesperson, they need to they need to buy into that because the information is going to be shared across the group and the input.
Number of statements of works, so number of offers that I've sent out. DocuSign or PandaDoc says it's 7.
Hmm.
Simon sent 7 offers this week.
Yeah.
I don't have to look for it. You don't have it's there. If you want to
Yeah.
track it, it's
Yeah.
there. You can see
Yeah.
Simon this week 7.
Yeah.
Okay, number of people who signed that 3. So now you have Simon's conversion rate, you have Simon's number of contracts that I sent, number of contract that the buyer signed off.
Hmm.
That's probably the 3 most relevant numbers from
Mm.
Simon.
Mm.
And they are in the dashboard.
Yeah.
So we like to start with marketing, and we like to have the awareness number. So how many people watched our video?
Hmm.
Then the interest number. How many people opted in to the free PDF that was mentioned in the video? And then the next one, engagement. How many wrote us an email or commented on that PDF
Yeah.
or inquired about our price?
Hmm.
Engagement number. And the next one is number of discovery calls booked. They booked the time to talk to us.
Mm.
Then it's the number between discovery call and demo. We make an offer or we don't. If we
Yeah.
do it, we make it between those two calls.
Yeah.
That's a PandaDoc or DocuSign that goes out. So
Mm-hmm.
number of DocuSigns sent. And then there's the demo call, number of demo calls that were scheduled.
Yeah.
Next one is number of no-shows. So minus the no-shows, number of demo calls that actually happened.
Yeah.
Because the demo call no-show is pretty high. Discovery no-shows is low, but demo call is very high because between discovery and demo, you make an offer. So many self-select themselves out of
Yes.
that call. And it makes sense. You want that to happen. It's the wrong people.
Yes. That's it.
Or it's the wrong time.
Yeah.
So it's okay. But you have number of demo calls booked, number of demo calls actually happened.
Mm.
So show up rate.
Yeah.
And with this, you have your conversion rate and you have your dollar amount in sales.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, you want to have some delivery numbers. So how happy are they during the delivery? NPS score.
Yeah.
And then number of referrals. How many people did they refer to? This week, maybe 3 or 0 or 6.
Yeah.
Like introductions that they have made to other people because they like your services.
Mm.
And they want them to have your services.
Yeah.
This can be a super lean dashboard. If you have 5 people in there, each link of their PandaDoc, each link of their calendar is integrated into that.
Mm-hmm.
I can do it even, and I'm not a technical person. It's nowadays technology can do it. It's so simple.
Brilliant. So I wanted to ask you, because there's a few more questions I want to ask you around this process, but where did if we go back, where did this all start? Was there something that happened that you found that, you know what, we need to do some things better? Was there an experience you said, oh, this is just woeful? Where did it all start for you, you know, back in the day? Because it's as you're talking, it sounds so much based on common sense. And we've probably heard the concept of sprints in terms of Pomodoro and things like that, but thinking about how we do it in a structured way, how do we do it in short bursts, how do we measure progress, how do we measure activity versus just measuring the results. But if you go back, Simon, where did it start for you? Did you always have a career in, because you said you're non-technical, but have you always been in sales? Did you fall into sales? Your experience through selling, did it lead you to come up with this? Was there a specific catalyst for how this came about?
So the catalyst was frustration. It sucked. The way I worked sucked. And my history is I was in one of the strategy advisories, and I would fly on Monday. I would fly out to New York and help them with market entry strategy. And then on Thursday I was done, but I would fly to Paris now to merge ERS and Airbus because they were merging and we just needed one board, but had now 8 people for one board. So who's in, who's out? Simon, merge them. And then from there, I would fly to Beijing to smoothen out the supply chain of BMW because there were supply chain bumps, similar to now. And so that was my life, right? I was in these boardrooms. I had these big problems. I had to smoothen them out. And my tools of the trade was psychology, communication, spreadsheets, and spreadsheets and flip charts, but more spreadsheets.
Okay.
That was the tools of the trade. So those spreadsheets, every year they became better. It's now 22 years that I'm doing this. And so the spreadsheets became better and better and better and better. And people were asking for these spreadsheets. But what sucked, and so this was the only thing that was getting better and better and better and better. The spreadsheets, because we were reusing them, refining them with each client. And learning from other industries, we were enriching our strategy toolbox, right? Oh, if you want to turn clients into subscription clients, this industry has a great way of doing it. Look at that. Oh, if you want to have a higher conversion on watch time, this industry is doing it really well. Take that from here. So we were taking the best practices from all industries and enriching our spreadsheets. That's why the tools really were getting better, and they became the 274 tools of the Sprint University.
Okay.
But what sucked was that when my clients had a question, so let's say the New York client now has a question. Simon, but how do I do this?
Yeah.
He had to wait because now I was in Paris for 4 days in a 8 hours workshop in this Marriott hotel. And in the night, I was documenting manually the results of the workshop for the client.
Yes.
So then I would fly to Beijing, etc. They would have to wait 3-4 weeks before I'm back in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And I had zero data, zero metrics in between.
Okay.
So a month later, I come there. Their question is already over. It's already an old question. And I have to start from scratch. They have to get me back up to speed. What's going on? What's the progress? And I hated that.
Mm.
At the same time, so my spreadsheets were getting better, and I was getting older, and so I was starting now going to the gym and doing some endurance. I started running, became a triathlete, and because otherwise I would have, gotten a heart attack. So I
Because
was
you
in my
just work,
40s.
and travel.
Yeah, I was in my 40s now. I had to do something for health. And so friends were telling me that, doctors were telling me that. Okay, so I start running. Running became running, swimming, biking. I had a triathlon coach, and the triathlon coach messages me in WhatsApp, says, Simon, you're running too fast. You have to run slower. And I go, how the heck do you know it? I'm in Germany.
Yeah.
You are in Austria. How do you know that I'm running too fast? I see it on your Garmin data, idiot. And you have my Garmin data? You have the data from my watch?
Yeah.
Is yeah, I have it in front of me. I have a dashboard of every client. You have a dashboard of every client? I don't have a dashboard of my clients. And so I realized I was I was looking in the wrong industry.
Yeah.
Because the consulting industry was not up to speed, but there were other industries like sports,
Yeah.
the NFL, the triathlon coaches. Every proper sports coach has a
Mm.
dashboard and real-time data about their
Mm.
athletes.
Yeah.
I said, okay, this is how I have to organize. And so I started looking at how professional, performance coaches of athletes do it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how, now going full circle to the habits discussion, they have a simple process, a real-time data dashboard, and they have quick loops in between. They don't fly to each other's city. You
Yeah.
can coach, you can be in Australia, be an athlete, and I can coach you from Vienna. I see your data.
Mm-hmm.
You have devices.
Yeah.
I see your data. And I say, you are swimming a lot, but you're not running enough.
Yeah.
You are running too fast. You have to run slower. So these kind of things now we do in real time. And that's why we built the app, because now I am 24/7 with
Yeah.
my 226 sprinters.
Yeah.
And they are asking me the question right now, Simon, I have to send this email. Should I do this subject line or that subject line? Boom, here, 6 options. And I do it from my phone.
Yeah.
So that's what sucked, all this complicatedness and bloatedness. Instead, the few data, a real-time dashboard, and direct access, quick,
Yeah.
short communication instead of an 8-hour workshop in Marriott hotel. No. Right now you have a question. Come on, send me your question. I'm on my phone. I will answer the question. Move on.
And it's becoming more efficient, right? And so and just talk then around, because as a triathlete coach, there'll be certain metrics or certain key habits, certain key activities that the coach would know needs to be fine-tuned and worked on to deliver a result, to build momentum, to get progress. So it sounds like the technology platform sounds awesome. The process sounds really common sense based. But I guess the real crux of it is, what are the specific activities that will make
Mm-hmm.
progress? As you mentioned
Yeah.
before, it's the discoveries, the demonstrations, the nurturing campaign. It's the person that downloads the PDF. It's the response rates in terms of when we send out a note, even if a
Yeah.
connection request on LinkedIn, for example. What's the response rate on that?
Yeah, exactly. So the stages are in sales, the stages are attention, interest, engagement, buying the second time, upsell, cross sell, referring to other people.
Yeah.
Those are the stages. They stay always the same. Now, what I learned from triathlon is you intensify in cycles. So for example, let's say you have a launch in December coming up. So if your triathlon is in December, your highest intensity will be -2 weeks before that launch, because
Yeah.
you need a week of tapering, of cooling down. And you don't need that in sales. You have max intensity end of December, and
Yeah.
you build up that intensity in November, October, September.
Yeah.
So we plan the launch September, social media campaign that creates curiosity, activates, collects the email addresses. October, let's use those email addresses, create a challenge around them. Let's activate the people. Let's do a 5 days challenge that comes via email. So they get used to communicating, to getting our emails and get excited when our email come. Then end of October, dashboard, visualize who are the winning ones, give some gifts, create excitement. November, scarcity. The first 50 of you will have this kind of access to this level that all others don't have, but only the first 50. And so, wow, the first 50, I want to be in the first 50. That's November. And then December, boom, you have your first 50, you have the next 100, you increase prices. Boom. That's a nice build up of a campaign.
Yeah.
That's a launch, a 3 months launch. Now, Monday to Friday stays the same, but you intensify around intentional, let's say, big bangs, because it makes everything more interesting, both for you, but also for the client, if you have some specific launches. Your business does not have to depend on it, but you make it more interesting. Because, for example, our business is 22 years. We just do one thing. We help you with sales.
Yeah.
It's boring. Okay, we doubled sales. Now what? That's boring. You
Double
can
it
do this
again.
for 22 years.
Double it again.
Yeah, well, yeah. Okay, we doubled again. So now what, Simon? Okay, now we're doubling every year. It becomes boring. And so how do you make that still interesting? Every year you have a different topic, a different angle onto that thing. Right now it's how to use AI to enhance your processes,
Yeah.
to save time, to reduce costs. That's what everybody wants. Okay, so we'll do activities around these AI enhanced sales and marketing activities. Next year it will be something else that's in the air that people want and ask from us. We will pick that up and make that the big challenge, the big launch, the big topic that we collaboratively go for, because it's much more fun when you do it community driven with your clients.
So with the sprint, coming back to like a mid-tier business or a big corporate, where you've got lots of customers at different stages of, whether it be, we call it the sales cycle or their buying cycle. How do we manage the, I guess, the overwhelm that can sometimes come into a sales organization, particularly like in Australia right now? Most companies, come Monday next week, June 30, it's the end of the financial year. So I know that companies that have their sales year ending next Monday, every single salesperson, it's all the process out the window, just close, 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 bring everything in as quickly as we possibly can. With this entire concept, how much of it is important to have executive buy-in, sales leadership buy-in, even board buy-in, that this is the methodology that will deliver the results, but also increase culture, increase engagement, but also create sustainability and, I guess, replicability? Because what we're talking about here is the habits that over time will start to compound if we continue to review it, update it, etc.
I love this question because you always have strategy and tactics at the same time.
Yeah.
And I personally, I love that some days are just tactical days. Just go out there, sell the hell out of it. Come on, it's a hunting day. I love hunting days, right? And you just hunt. You don't think about anything. You don't stop, not even to go to the toilet. You just hunt. It's a great day. You are in flow. If you're a salesperson and you have a hunting day, that's your day.
Yeah.
Now, when you're swimming in triathlon, you learn this very quickly. When you're swimming, from time to time, you have to put your head out of the water. Of course, the swimming is the most important thing. You have to swim. That's it. Head down, swim. But you have to check if you're still swimming in the right direction from time to time. So pull your head out. You don't want to be the fastest in the wrong direction. And then sometimes there is a stone coming, there is a competitor coming. So you have to check also the competitive landscape. What are the others doing? Oh, okay. And then back. So it's short, head up is short. And that's why sprint. So on Monday, okay, but let's reflect what's really the most important thing. And then the tactical intensity Tuesday to Thursday. So, for example, you said large corporation. Let's say Google. If you're Google, the tactical intensity right now doesn't really matter because your problem is a different one. If you're Google Cloud or if you are, whatever you as a salesperson are selling in Google, no need to intensify your efforts. Because the problem is you have let OpenAI come in and become people's search instrument.
Yes.
So the first thing, now stop everything. Guys, don't sell anything. For an hour, we will now have one very large Zoom meeting where we have to solve how to simplify our user interface so that people search with our interface, because we actually have the technology. We just made it too complicated for the user to find, because half is on Notebook LM and half is on Studio and half is on Gemini. So first task, bring all these three things together on one place on the phone for the user. Second task, Google Cloud, go out, sell it. Google search, go out, sell it. YouTube ads, go out, sell it. So it's you have to slow down to speed up.
Yeah.
And so this strategy conversation is really important to do it with everybody, with marketing, sales, and ops in the room. This is what was missing. And that's what we incorporate in the strategy sprints method. The Monday is everybody hands on deck.
Yeah.
Getting aligned. Alignment is more important at this stage. When you have clarity, okay, we have to simplify it and then tell people, hey, this is even simpler and better than ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Now you go and do your hunting day.
Yeah.
And you can hunt the whole weekend if you want and the whole night if you want, because there are enough geographies where you can hunt during your night. But without that clarity, there's no reason in intensifying anything.
And with that, when you bring all those people together on that Monday, you might have different parts of the business that are coming together to try and solve or try and identify a common problem. But then, as you mentioned before, there might be different departments and people within departments that have their own swim lane, that's what they're going to focus on. That's their part of the, I guess, the ecosystem they're going to focus on, so that nobody's now complicating anything. We're not trying to cross over in terms of different jurisdictions. We're really clear on what our part of the problem is that we're focused on, so that when we come back at the Friday, it should be that we're reporting back on what we've done. So collectively, we should have made progress versus all of us trying to do multiple things during the week and maybe not making much, if any, progress.
That's why on Monday, we look at the so-called focus card. The focus card is the overall group strategy and product strategy and country strategy on one page. It's a spreadsheet where all these things build upon each other and they visually show how they contribute to each other. That's the first one. Strategy and clarity and aligning all geographies, all products, all departments. Now, step 2, it's the next tab of that same spreadsheet, is the swim lanes. Now, okay, who owns each part? And there is only one person. There is no department. I will never forget, I was 30 years old and I was the strategy advisor of BMW, and the CEO at that time was in the room. We had a 5-day super intense workshop. The outcome was the strategy called Born Electric, which then became the i3 and E8 cars. But it was intense to come up with that. And I was on the flip chart and I asked him, okay, so this is the next action until next week. Okay, who is responsible? And he says, well, the finance department of Singapore. And I said, name, please. a 30-year-old guy
Yeah.
in front of a CEO and his top
Of BMW.
42 people stopping him and
Yeah.
saying, no, I need a name.
Yeah.
This is something that will cost your job 50-50 chance that you lose your job if you do that.
Yeah.
But I had to do it. I had
Yeah.
to risk the 50-50. Why? Because if you allow this is a basic swim lane problem. If
Hmm.
you allow this and you write down the Department of Finance,
Yeah.
which was FS Singapore, if you write this down, 2 weeks later, he will go looking for the results. Where are the results?
Yeah.
Call Singapore. Who do I call in Singapore? I don't know. The department. Who is the department? That guy. Okay, call that guy. That guy's on holiday. So you can't manage that way. You have to put one owner, one name in one swim lane.
Yeah.
That person can then go region by region, organize whatever they want. They go to vacation plans with the whole Singapore company entity, etc. But
Yeah.
you need one name, and that name reports in real time in the
Mm.
dashboard. So if they're on holiday, it's fine because on Friday we will still see their numbers
Yes.
and their
Now,
swim
and
lanes
with
numbers.
absolutely. So with that swim lane, so if the default was, hey, you need to go to finance in Singapore instead of having a name, but if we have that name, could it be that as part of that activity in that swim lane, could there be sub swim lanes that lead up to that?
You could, but now you are creating complicatedness. We try to keep it as simple as possible. And this is why you need facilitators,
Mm.
because it's not easy to tell them, let's try it for a week without sub. Let's just try. Because organizations, it's the physics of
Yeah.
organization. They tend to bloat themselves over time.
Yeah.
It's it's what complex systems do because the
Yeah.
incentives are you stay ahead of department by creating more complicatedness, not
Mm.
necessarily complexity, but
Mm.
complicatedness.
Yeah.
So we want to say stop to complicatedness because, of course, if you have 50 more people than the other department, you have now more resources.
Yeah.
So you are incentivized to increase your power by increasing the complicatedness of your
Mm.
department.
Mm.
And as a consultant who takes their job seriously, and as the leader that we're helping lead that company, you have to work against complicatedness towards complexity. And
Yeah.
complexity is sometimes fewer people in one swim lane, but they
Mm.
can tackle bigger problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Because yeah, you're so right. And as you was talking about that, I'm just reflecting on some of the corporate that I work with and how I think some leaders actively try to create more complicatedness so that they become more relevant in the business. So they're seen as a go-to person. In many cases it's ego driven versus
Two ways to increase your power in an
yeah.
enterprise. First, hide all your knowledge. Don't share your knowledge. Now people have to
Yes.
ask you, and now you seem like a genius,
Yes.
and they need you. Second, have more people than the other departments. Now you look like you're you're doing more
Yes.
because you have
But that
more people sitting around in meetings, and now you look like you need more resources. You will probably get more resources because you have more people, right? And so
so let's talk about this concept because you do this with lots and lots of different organizations, and I know there's some large organizations, mid tiers, and startups and so forth. So can you give us some ideas in terms of organizations that are using this strategy sprints method? What are some of the not so much the results, but what have they experienced, and how difficult it has been for you to try to incentivize them or encourage them to overcome maybe the old way of doing business and approach the new way? And what have they experienced through coming on board?
Let me share the biggest organizations that are sprinting right now and the smallest, because
Okay.
probably we have a spectrum of people listening. So the biggest ones, just as we discussed, their challenge is to simplify. The
Mm-hmm.
Googles of this world, they have to make it simple, mobile, user first, forget your departments, name it a simple name, call it Pencil, not WMC3XXY ChatGPT. It's not a great name. Make it simple, make it usable,
Yeah.
and now align all activities around that. Forget departments. No user cares about your departments. Make it simple, make it usable, make it better than competition,
Mm.
and simplify everything around that. So that's the work of the big corporations. And get rid of 50% of your meetings,
Yeah.
because probably everybody's happier and more productive if they can do stuff instead of talk about stuff.
Yes.
So there we reduce meetings. First, we set up the focus card, which has all the strategies, 3 to 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
broken down into 1 year, broken down into 90 days, broken down into the metrics for the dashboard for every Friday. That's
Yeah.
one page. And the next page are the swim lanes. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
who does that and who reports every Friday? And then you set up these two meetings: Monday priorities, Friday learning.
Mm-hmm.
That's the work for the big corporations. The work for the small entity, let's call it solopreneurs. One
Yeah.
solopreneur with one assistant and AI. That's the smallest entity right now, but they are monsters. They are getting a super boost right now through AI, because they have on their desk like 20 McKinsey analysts on steroids.
Yeah.
Because this thing, for example, I'm using Claude 20 times a day. It's like having 20 McKinsey analysts on drugs.
Yeah.
They're so much faster. It doesn't need sleep. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. And I'm paying $200 a month for 20 analysts. It's fantastic. So the solopreneurs have a huge advantage. They can quickly pivot, quickly change direction. They have all the tools. They have
Mm.
no compliance at all. Nobody's allowing or anything. So they can use whatever they want. They're super fast, super cheap. They can move at the speed of light, change direction so they can learn faster. And I'm seeing many multi-million-dollar businesses run by one person, and I think we will soon see the first billion-dollar business run by one person, and two assistants and AI.
Yeah.
And we're not talking agents yet, just a simple AI,
Yeah.
because we'll take a moment to get to agents. But let's just stay with the current AI that everybody has on their phone, on their iPad, on their computer.
Mm.
You connect that, if you're a solopreneur, you connect that to your calendar, Gmail. We are helping people connect those so that now it has context.
Mm-hmm.
And now, so if it has your calendar, your emails, your Google Docs spreadsheets, and I have integrated mine with Claude, now I feel like I have 40 employees
Mm.
just out of nothing. Out of nothing. I can give each one of them a project and have them run these projects. So that's the solopreneurs. And for the solopreneurs, now the question is, okay, what are the most important activities?
Mm.
Because your biggest risk now is distraction.
Yeah.
You have so many possibilities. The biggest risk is dispersion of your attention and of your energy.
Mm.
So that, again, focus card, 3 to 5 years, which is ridiculous for a solopreneur. They don't
Yeah.
care. 1 year, even that is far away. And then 90 days, that's what they care about. The 90
Yeah.
days focus and the Friday metrics. That's what the solopreneurs care about.
Yeah.
And then we look at that. Hey, Monday, what's the most important thing? Oh, I could do the podcast. I could do this collaboration. I could do that. Okay, what really moves the needle for you this week? And what are 2 experiments that you can run with less than $20 to
Mm.
find out if it works? Okay, we define those 2, and on Friday we measure.
Yeah.
That's the work with the solopreneurs. And here, the 4 daily habits become very important. This calendar in front of you, where you either get into a streak
Yeah.
and can have consistency, or don't, because this podcast shows it well. You did hundreds of episodes. your competitors did stop before episode 100.
Yes.
And just by doing that, a podcaster can be in the top 2% business podcasts worldwide just by surpassing episode 100.
Yeah.
It's just by staying in the game.
Mm.
We don't have to be better than Tim Ferriss.
Yeah.
We just have to pass episode 100 without giving up.
Yeah.
And then a podcast can have impact.
Yes. Love it. Love it. Hey, I love this conversation, and we're running out of time, so I know you've got other things to get to, but if people want to know more about the strategy sprints method, and connect with you, Simon, and learn more about what you do, where's the best place for them to go?
It's strategysprints.com, and they can try everything out 7 days free. This is the next thing where I was looking in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Like most people do. You are in your industry, you look at your industry. So my industry, strategy consulting, sales coaching, doesn't have a free trial. How can you try for free a sales coach? You can't, right? You can't. So there is no free trial. Software people have a free trial, 7 days.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want a free trial. When I go to the supermarket and they have a new cheese, they have me taste it.
That's right.
I don't. So why don't I have any taster? I need a taster.
Go to wine tasting, you get to taste wine as well.
Yeah, even better, right? And so I had no taster. Now I have one. You go to strategysprints.com, and if you're a service business, study how we built this, because
Yes.
this is genius for everybody who is in a service business, because you usually don't have a free trial, but we were able to create that. So in these 7 days, they can try everything, all the 274 tools. They meet the people. They meet 226 current clients. They see the quality of the people, the regions, the industries, if this is helpful for them, if the tools are the quality and the accuracy that they need for their brand to scale. And after 6 days, 7 days, they can decide if this is ROI positive, and then they stay. And if not, okay, I tried it. Next thing.
Brilliant. Love it. So I'll put that in the show notes, strategysprints.com. I'll also put your LinkedIn handle in there as well. So I encourage people to check it out. Hey, Simon, thank you. I know we were trying to do this yesterday, but there was circumstances that prevented us. And but I do appreciate it. Really enjoyed this conversation, and I want to thank you for being a guest on the Exceptional Sales Leader podcast.
Thank you, Darren. Keep rolling.
I will. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Exceptional Sales Leader podcast. I trust the information in this episode has been helpful in your journey towards becoming exceptional. And remember, please take the time to rate the show, subscribe to the show so other people can find it. But also, if I can help you, jump on my calendar, go to leadwithdarren.com, and let's have a conversation about how I can help you along your journey to being exceptional.